But welcome one and welcome all to the IEM Stage 2 qualifiers. Now, we didn't get to cast Game 1 because we were casting a different series, but we have managed to hop into Game 2 of a qualifying set. This is a best of 5, and spawning here to the upper right side of the map, we once again have our blue Zerg, Serral. And his opponent to the bottom left, the red Terran, Cure. Now, obviously, Cure, for those who are less familiar with this guy, Korean and Terran and really good. And moments before this game got started, I was already talking about how cool it was when he played TvZ a bunch. So Cure's played in a lot of these qualifiers and a lot of events recently. He's certainly been working his butt off. And if he could somehow beat Serral, it would be a certainly large compliment and worth his while for all this work he's put into it. But that being said, Serral is up 1-0. We don't know what happened in Game 1, but we do know the game was approximately like 15 minutes or so. I'm saying ish because I wasn't really paying attention while we were waiting to get into a game. But yeah, Serral's up 1-0, which isn't that surprising. Serral, I think, for everybody coming into any game with Serral, will be favoring Serral. Anything else is going to, frankly, be an upset. And Serral's been playing really solid today for the few games we've seen. And, oh no, please don't be me. Please don't be me. Beastie Cutie, shake my head, dude. Shaking and crying right now, Beastie Cutie. All right, well, unfortunately, connection issues happen, and BC's been disconnected. But we move on. Logan Logix also just redeemed gratuitous. Logan, you've been here for a long time. I could go into a long-winded speech and be a little bit, like, a little sarcastic, but I won't be. Instead, I will thank you kindly for being an amazing human being. Thank you for being here long enough that I can recognize your name, by the way. Some people like to lurk and they don't really participate in chat, and I don't really recognize their names a lot of the time. But you're here, and you're awesome, and thank you for your support. That's factory follow-up for Cure. No second barracks, no cool shenanigans. So darn, we're not going to see any weird mind games. But I do wonder what his strategy in Game 1 is versus Serral, just in terms of the opener. Because Cure is just as likely, I think, to T-Rax, a Zerg player, as he is to go for a battlecruiser opening. And of course, there's a lot in between the middle for those two. This is kind of the extreme ends of the spectrum. But all of what his early game comes down to, of course, is going to have a lot to do with scouting Serral and seeing what Serral's doing. I think one of the most frustrating things for Terran is no matter how good you are, whether you get to Cure levels of play or not, things like Ravager all-ins can still absolutely destroy you if you don't see them coming. So the Reaper's hung around for a little bit on the other side of the map. It's actually got watchtower control, which is really going to help a bunch as he continues to wait and see what Serral sends his way. The Reaper was not able to scout much. Seeing the third base is nice, but sometimes this third base is a larva factory for a hidden all-in. And it's not so easy to determine what that'll be until sometimes it's too late. So you see the Reaper attempt to poke back. It's already pushed off by the Queen. Also, side note, shout out to Serral for realizing that's the area the Reaper would approach from. 4 lings with speed across the map. Hellion should be able to hold this. Be a little surprised if they didn't. I feel like Hellion's played poorly, should be able to hold this. I hate this map. Do you guys just see that just now? Did anyone just like have a moment where you're like, wait, did I blink? Do a double take? These rocks are so glitchy, and I don't know what the deal is. It's a visual glitch. It just like will randomly hop up and hop down, and I don't know if it's triggered by something or if it's just totally random. But every time it happens, it makes me go, wait, what? It's so unsettling. It's like they're haunted. That's what it is. They're haunted. They're haunted rocks. That guy from Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Or not Guardians of the Galaxy. The Avengers. Or what is it? Thor Ragnarok. There we go. Third time's the charm. It's him just lying down. He's chilling out. Alright. His battlecruiser, by the way. Sorry, I did bring this up, and then we didn't really deep dive into it. As I had described in a previous game, the battlecruiser is more or less like a giant Reaper. If you're not going to, you don't have to invest into a lot of them. One can get quite a bit done. But against Serral, I don't know, guys. We already watched him handle his previous opponent. We already watched him dismantle Vanya and Neeb. And while we haven't seen how Serral goes up against Terran yet in this tournament so far, I can't imagine something like this will phase him too much. Granted, battlecruisers can be powerful, but it's only if the Zerg players don't react appropriately. And even if you don't want to put a spore crawler down in every single mineral line, just having creep spread connecting your bases, right? So the queen's not slow to run up after the battlecruiser, paired up with the fact that you're going to have 6 queens anyways. Serral's putting an additional 2 just to be safe against this BC. I mean, you want 1 per base and a couple for creep spread, but this is going to be a lot of extras. Oh, it's mech, by the way. Kier's going mech behind this, and he really wants to stop Serral from seeing it, but Serral is going to get that full scout off. Now, it looks like there's going to be some dedication to the battlecruisers this game, by the way. Yamato cannon's starting up, which means we're not going to see less than 2 BCs, because you wouldn't invest in this for 1. But this also means that with mech, he's likely hoping Serral responds to this with something like corruptors, or at least not wanting to, but rather expecting to, because you'll go for cyclones behind this, and cyclones will support the battlecruisers very well. Cyclone Hellion's also just a really mobile style that's really good against Zerg in the first place. But again, it's so much about how the Zerg player handles these situations more than these situations themselves being precarious and dangerous. Oh, he's almost got that last creep tumor. Almost gets the drone too with some splash, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, I think is how the saying goes. Second battlecruiser comes out in a second. Serral might contaminate one of these buildings if not careful. Contaminating the Yamato cannon would be bloody devastating, but my god, Overseers move fast, and I know that, but just watching an Overseer compared to a battlecruiser, yikes. I'm continuing to scout. It's not like there's any question about what's been going on in this game. This BC has teleport off of cooldown, so he does have an escape path if he'd like. He's going to need it. 9 corruptors are on the way. What I do fear for this is that there's not a bunch of missile turrets down to help cover these battlecruisers when they retreat home. And there's no cyclones really being produced out yet, so there's very likely Serral could just chase these battlecruisers across the field. Corruptors are really good for a couple different reasons too, because on one hand, there's the Yamato, the corruptors will force the battlecruisers to not fight. Okay, great. They're also going to have a chance to straight up kill battlecruisers because corruptors are meant to be anti-massive units. Their bonus damage comes versus massive only. Cool, even better. But also, they can caustic spray to kill buildings. They can turn into broodlords. Corruptors really are just like a wonderful unit that can do quite a bit in Starcraft. I'm not trying to infer that they're too good because that would be a little whiny. But I also wouldn't disagree if someone told me that corruptors were too good. No, but in all seriousness, corruptors have a very, very specific role to play. And as you can see here, Serral doesn't care. He'll move forward knowing that it's mech, that there's not going to be a lot of anti-air waiting for him. There's no Thors, for example. The battlecruiser count is not good. Interesting that he disengaged that. Serral has seen there's no cyclones. He really could have killed battlecruisers. It's not bad that he disengaged, but I thought there was an opportunity to kill one. Because he knew the cooldown for one of these bad boys was on cooldown from the previous teleport out. But regardless, not the end of the world. We have Swarm Hosts, we have Nidus Worms, we have many things still coming up to complement this. And while Serral may not have killed a battlecruiser early on, he's still going to have the opportunity to kill these. The Swarm Hosts are going to be so annoying to deal with, though. Cure's just like, what is this, 2019, man? What are you doing? Who does this? Nidus Worm play, GTFO. I mean, the nice thing with Terran is unlike Protoss where you're locked into this base, if you don't see this coming fast enough, you could lift the command center and pull the SCVs away. And then the damage done is going into like missile turrets and refineries and frankly, nothing here that's too dangerous. This attack to the bottom side has not been scouted, by the way. This sucks because he's just out of position to stop this second Nidus Worm. And the Locusts are going to catch, oh, some siege tanks, maybe? Hellbats with Blue Flame wash these off very quickly. Hellbats without don't. I mean, they'll still deal with this, but not before damage is dealt. Meanwhile, Roaches start pushing in from the right side. There's still a siege tank set up over there. This one siege tank doing a really good job of keeping Serral from pushing in. Meanwhile, this thing with the Locust and the canceled command center is a little awkward because he's now realizing, oh, the Nidus Worm was right here. And the Nidus Worm here was also right here. But I mean, Nidus Worms are still fairly cheap considering the mass transportation they provide. With those going down, they're a little out of position. We're going to see some missile turrets come down. They're not going to be super important for the Locust, funny enough. These missile turrets will be really valuable against Corruptors, and we can get into that in a moment. But right now, these missile turrets will help shoot down maybe 1 or 2 extra Locusts. Maybe. It looks like Serral's going to try and deep dive past these, though, into the main base, and our next Nidus Worm might even attempt to go in the main. If not, just scouting, but still. Thor's responding as we speak as well. Continue Nidus Worms. Not going to use it down here, and that's fine. This is a planetary combined with blue flame Hellions. I always look at, like, honestly, when it comes to blue flame Hellions, not just because of the way they physically look, but the way they interact with Swarm Hosts and Locust in particular, I'm just like, this is Mario Sunshine. Is anyone else with me on that one? Like, watch these. Tell me this is Super Mario Sunshine. Washing off all the grime. Well, except I guess Mario didn't die that much. And the Hellbats really did. But still, holds on. And when you look at the units lost, okay. Free units versus not free units, that's kind of freaking annoying. Wait, is he building a second fusion core? Why? Was that supposed to be a Ghost Academy? It's Kjor, you don't get to make mistakes versus Serral, okay? He is one of the best players in the world. Check your fusion core, bro. No, but like in all seriousness, a small error for sure. That sucks. But you can also just tell how much is on his mind from this. Like, it's a funny read for us to look at and be like, haha, what a dumb move. But I mean, the countless times I've seen Scarlett build like 3 Ultralisk caverns or other people build the wrong buildings. It happens a lot. It's just unfortunate when it happens against such a high profile player. Between Caustic Spray and Corrosive Biles, the Planetary Fortress does die, but we should note Serral actually took some losses for once in killing this. Not just Locusts. Oh, that's super annoying because that's going to be Vision too. But we're currently up to 5 Nidus Worms dead. Obviously, a few more than that have been made this game. God, they look so gross unloading. It's like the reverse pucker. Now, this is not a mistake, by the way. We have a second Spire starting up for Serral, and I think he's going to actually double upgrade. Yep. You don't see this too often, but double upgrades are really powerful for Air on Zerg. You just usually can't afford to do this because you're either under too much pressure from the Terran or Air wasn't what you were able to afford to invest into from their mech style. So those Corruptors are going to be super badass the longer the game goes. But not that he's going to need Corruptors forever. These are going to eventually become Broodlords. If Cure even lasts that long in the game. He's pushing up right now with a lot of Siege Tanks and Hellbats, and this is kind of cool initially. Maybe denies +3 even, which would be really good here. Well, those Swarm Hosts are currently on cooldown, but he's losing steam with his attack, and it's not like, oh my god, you know, you could afford to throw away a bunch of units here. No, back on his side of the map, he's looking to lose another base. Thor's going to try and knock these out of the sky, but Caustic Spray damage is way too good. And it ramps up. The longer you are Caustic Spraying, aka Corrupt, or pissing on a command center, the more damage it does over time. Alright, Swarm Host kind of land. It's a little awkward here, but the front line of tanks goes down. Unsieged tanks can do an unprecedented amount of damage when it comes to hitting bases and hit and running. But sieging them up is always preferable when you can pull it off. But when you... This is where I'm like a little jaded about this, because the more he sieges up, the more these Corrosive Biles are likely to hit. Yep, like those 2 tanks in the front line. He's going to take out the Nidus Worm. Okay, so that's going to alleviate some minor short-term problems. But right next to him, we got Broodlords. To the left of him, Broodlords. To the right of him, Swarm Hosts. And into the middle, a balance post whining about free units. Actually, it's like that meme, you know, where like the two guys are like bro fist high-fiving, and it's just like the muscles, and on the left side it's like Swarm Hosts, on the right side it says Broodlords, in the middle it's like Terran balance whining. If anyone can make that meme and tweet it at me, I'll give you a favorite. I just don't want to go open Photoshop while I'm casting. Otherwise I would do it myself. A new Nidus Worm comes out to replace the old one, and it will connect to the new tunnels. This is always a really weird thing to try and understand, but yeah, he'll have Nidus Worm options for these Swarm Hosts again. We're a little bit late to the Vikings, and this is where I want to revisit how powerful the Corruptors will be with upgrades. +2 is 16 damage a shot, but more importantly, it's 3 armor. There's currently no air upgrades whatsoever for the Vikings. So these Corruptors, just to be clear, are like mini battle cruisers. They have as much armor as a battle cruiser does on base. Now, Thors are meant to knock Broodlords out of the sky. But the Broodlord army might just overwhelm. There's not many Blue Flame Hellbats here, which worries me. You can see here the Thors are just taking a lot of damage too. The Swarm Hosts come in. The Locusts, oh god, land right on top of the siege tanks. The Vikings are doing what they can, but just look at this. The Vikings just tickle these units. Armor's too good. Broodlords are not falling apart, and the Corrosive Bombs from these Ravagers are going to punish any Thors that sit there and hold their ground. So it's a slow siege from Serral, but it's one that seems to be pretty endless and relentless. As Planetary Fortress has blown away a lot of the Broodlings with his Ibex cannon, it could just ignore the Planetary and go for the tanks, but this is going to knock that down. Base denied here. Bottom right base also under attack. This one's going to get canceled at this rate. And Serral, of course, can always just fall back and retreat through the Night Storms if he needs to. Oh my god. Was this so long that the Locust came off cooldown? The answer? Yes! Landing on top of the siege tanks, and the Thors take those out. The Thor's the only real threat here. The Vikings seriously have like no damage against these armored Broodlords. GG. Serral takes game number 2. Go Denver? I only know this because Mana tweeted about it just now. Okay. Once again, we hop into another game featuring this great man. The top left, the Blue Zerg. You know him. It's Serral. And he deserves more hype than that. So let me back this up. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 3, match point. Looking to take the 3-0 and qualify to IEM Katowice. We have our Blue Zerg. He is the only non-Korean BlizzCon champion. It's Serral. And his opponent to the lower right, the red Terran Cure. I'm a little surprised to see Cure struggling super hardcore, but also not. Again, it's 300 ping or something for him to play from Korea to Europe. It's not preferable. Added into the fact that he's going up against Serral, and this is a particularly understandable 0-2. But if you guys missed the Weekend Cup, you also might remember another Terran player who went down 0-2 and then brought it back to win 3-2. I'm of course talking about Big Gabe. So maybe Cure can pull another one of those, or maybe he just falls to play in the losers bracket. Oh, Mike Second, thank you for the 100 bits. Hit the rally boss, guys. I'm on hook for 4 subs to the channel if this boss dies. Oh, so if you guys kill that rally boss, Mike says he's gonna give 4 subs. I'm okay with that. Go hit the rally boss. I'm just actually looking what's left in the lower bracket very briefly here, and it does look like it's not going to be easy going forward. Special is still in there to contend and fight. Obviously Denver plays Special, and they might be playing right now. And then yeah, I think Euthermal plays the loser of this series. Ooh, so we're actually almost done with these qualifiers. We're getting very, very close to the end. But of course, that reminder that in 12 hours from now, 13 hours from now, 13 hours from when I'm saying this live on stream, at least 2 a.m. Pacific, there will be the Asia qualifiers. So there's still a chance for all your favorite players to get through. And you could argue it's both harder and easier to play in the last qualifier. It's more difficult because it's the last chance, so every single person's going to show up for it. But it's also a little bit easier because dudes like Serral and like Elazer and Zest and whoever the big guys that get through are, they're done. They won't be competing again. So tonight's qualifiers, the turnout is going to be really exceptional. And I'm excited to see which Korean players and more importantly, which non-Korean players show up to play in that. I do plan to try and stream that, by the way, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, just a quick break here while we wait for this game to kick up. I'm pretty exhausted. I'm an old man at this point. I don't got that young kid stamina award he has to cast 20 hours a day. So I will do my best to be there. But like I said, after this is done here today, what we're casting now, we have a $500 Star Chest Invitational tournament I'll be playing in. And that's going to be starting at 5. I just have a lot to do today. So I'm gonna do my best, but if I don't show up for the Asia qualifiers, I hope you guys at least understand why. Comedian, thank you for the 20-month resub. Much appreciate the support, brother. Liberator is going to be the opening here for Cure, and he's got a fast third CC in the main base. And this isn't the case anymore, but man, I feel like for a long time in StarCraft 2, if a Zerg player scouted this third CC coming down quick, it's like, yo, it's go time. Let's crush this guy with an all-in. But now it's more like you see this third CC, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna just build 80 drones then and kill you in the late game because of macro, and then you write LOL in all caps, and then when they don't leave you, offensive GG. And okay, Serral would actually do none of that stuff. Serral's like actually the nicest dude in the world. But my point still stands. This third CC is not going to be punished, I think, with an attack. The units we see Serral pumping out right now are purely for defense, I believe. Couple Lings, couple Queens. He should be okay to stave off small Hellions. But this is where I really wish I knew whether Cure did battlecruisers in game 1 or not. Obviously, he showed that battlecruisers were on the table there for map 2. But if it was also done in game 1, then Serral may have expected them here for game 3. However, there's a Spore Crawler and several Queens, so whether it was a Liberator, a Banshee, or a battlecruiser, Serral quite literally has his bases covered. This attack might be the hardest part to hold, frankly. The Liberator, you just move the Spore Crawler and it's like dunzos. He sets up on the far side away from that, though, and this Queen goes down immediately because Serral, of course, is microing against the Hellions. Doesn't even win the Hellion battle. Cure wins this main base fight pretty hardcore. And the best of all, Liberator survives to go cause more chaos. Even if this just forces some stopped mining over here, still worth. Yeah, the Liberator usually dies and gets almost nothing done. This killed about 3 or so drones, and on top of that, has denied 2 bases worth of mining intermittently. And I think, are we using Game Heart? Yeah, look at that. Look at that income spike that comes as a result of Serral not mining off of a base for so long. Not even so long, so short, really. But that just really goes to explain how powerful income is in StarCraft 2. You can't be, for even a second, distracted and miss a mule drop or not saturate a base properly, etc. 1-1 coming out for Cure 2. And it didn't do anything crazy like Go Mech. It's just bio and still standard bio. Is there a rule against them signing up again? No, as far as I'm aware, every player is free to compete in any qualifier that they can actually attend. Again, I don't write the rules for IEM and ESL. Please don't quote me for that. I'm just saying my understanding of it. Nano Flower says, yes, we understand Rifkin has lost his passion for StarCraft. It's a sad day for us all. Truth. It's about time I cut and run. I got my money. You chumps. Okay. This was a tough call. He could have prioritized killing the Banelings, but instead prioritizes killing almost all the creep tumors. I think that's a nice move, but the fact that there's a hatchery here means killing those creep tumors is not as big of a deal. But he focuses down the Banelings. The target fire here is fantastic. Serral probably has the Queens to push this off. Yeah. He also have a Ling attack on the right side, but Cure holds that one pretty well. This small little trade played well for Cure. It's only about a 400 mineral lead from this, but this is exactly the way you play Terran. You get small leads, lots of little small battles that go in your favor, that you pick up, that you survive, that you go to round 2 and 3 with. And then after some time, you're just ahead. As long as those battles go well, you sneak out victories. Didn't realize it was a best of 5 now. Yeah, so it's best of 3 for all matches, but the qualifying matches in particular get upgraded to best of 5 status. This is for all of their events too. This isn't just like exclusively this one. So now you know for more. Baneling speed is pretty close to being done. Baneling speed on creep makes this a really tough fight for Cure. Baneling speed off of creep? Okay, still not scary. One single siege tank in range of the hatchery, the other one covering the backside. It moves the target fire down the Banelings, and that's what these need to do. But oh my god, for a brief second, I thought all the Marines died. They ran into the Banelings, but also got picked up by the medevac. I was like, no, Cure, what are you doing? But the majority of his forces survive. Oh, not paying attention there costs him a couple, but I mean, this attack was pushed off anyways. Oh, man. If you've been watching StarCraft as long as I've been casting it today, quick reminder to get some stretches in there, bros. 7th inning stretch and what have you. Oh, crack my back real quick. 15 more banlings coming out. We've seen Serral actually play really banling heavy today, and I don't hate it. I really like it, actually. Because, well, maybe it's good or maybe it's not. I feel banlings are something you can only make this many of if you've got a good macro, so you're rewarded for your play. But then on top of that, they're just exciting to watch. Every banling that possibly goes in is maybe a lot of damage. And speaking of which, Overlord dropped to the bottom side, grabs about 10 SCVs, rightfully distracted as Serral, realizes Cure is paying attention to the front lines too much. Well executed. Banlings flood from the back. Serral is going to squish in Cure once again. Medivacs could retrieve some of these Marines, but Cure's just donating siege tanks. And like I said, these are supposed to be lots of little victories that add up for the Terran. That's not the case so far. It's Serral who's getting the victories that are starting to really add up. And the unit counting station right now is not so favorable either way. It's actually pretty close. With 20 banlings and these side swipe attacks that Serral keeps pulling off, Cure's just not getting anything in this game. And if anything, just keeps taking hits, right? He lost those SCVs down to the south side. Granted, he still has a crap ton of workers, and Mules made sure his income was hardly disrupted from that, but, I mean, still, damage is damage. And Serral's getting damaged, Cure's not. Right, tank helps zone out some of the creep tumors. Right side, new planetary fortress is on the way. This has a wall covering it too, so it won't be easy to run by. These will probably turn into banlings and then, yep, be really... Oh, that's not a full wall. Cure never replaced this depot. Oh no. That means the banlings are going to have the freedom to just walk into this base, and a lot of the SCVs are already in one-shot range from the previous attack. So even if only like one or two of these banlings connect, like half the SCVs will likely die. He's not going to go for that base though. He goes for the third instead. Cure's not paying attention, maybe? Okay, he does. Last second, starts splitting. A little bit spoopy there. Grabs a few more. Oh, so sweet and so gross at the same time. 12 workers dead to that attack. Cure now says, fine, I'll focus on the front line and I'll pay you back for some of that damage. But it's 32 banelings and 140 zerglings here to defend. Not even here to defend, to go for the attack. He's got 140 units active on the map right now. Cure pushes forward, looking for some good damage here with the Marines based back towards the siege tanks, but there's that flank from behind. Widowmine kills a lot of Zerglings, but also kills a lot of the Marines too. But the focus fire on the right side, fantastic! The focus fire on the left side pushes it back, and then siege tank blasts away some of the last remaining Zerglings. Excuse me, banlings. Now, granted, Planetary Fortress will be left alone, and the rest of this is getting attacked by Serral. But to be clear, Serral is losing the home front, guys. Cure is pushing through, and despite these terrible fights, that last engagement out of Serral was not the one he needed for this game. And while there's a lot of Zerglings flooding in, as long as he doesn't take too many hits from the banlings, the momentum could stay strong. Pull back to the siege tank, unload, regroup, and continue the attack. Oh my god. I can't even believe. I hardly even understand. It's Cure, man, just did so much work with that attack, and I think part of that really is Serral was trying to be across the field at the same time, right? Good damage, granted, but not good enough to justify not having those at home to help defend. And these flank attacks, oh, GG. The flank attacks were not enough. Cure takes game 3, and the series isn't over yet. The Starcraft match. Also, if you're in attack, I may have to owe you one, because there's a glitch here on the reward screen. I can't pick your name. I'm sorry, dude. I'll get you on the next one. I owe you, okay? But it's game number 4. He still leads the series. He's still up 2-1. And he's still possibly walking away with this game. To the top left side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. It is, of course, Serral. And his opponent spawns to the bottom right as the red Terran Cure. Now, look, I was a little flabbergasted in the moment, I guess is what we'll say. I think, though, it's pretty clear that Micro was a big part of that, because even with this insane ping, we saw him focus firing a lot of banlings. Sometimes, by the way, Micro, it's about the siege tanks. Sometimes it's about the Marines. But sometimes it's about the Zerg player. And I think Serral made a small mistake where he just went in a little too soon on one side. And maybe, and I'm speaking hypothetically here, maybe if he waited just a bit, that could have had a very different outcome for the battle. Because the banlings trading up to that one fight, you guys know exactly which fight I'm talking about. they were good. They were efficient. They were effective. Serral was like knocking it out of the park with a lot of those fights. But it was the one big one that just was a little too much. And I will say this. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Cure to replicate another win like that. Because again, not to take anything away from Cure, I think he played really well. I don't know that Serral's going to present that same opportunity or make the same mistakes type thing. So I will say good luck to Cure. Now that we know he's got it in him, he can at least take a game. Maybe he takes this one too. All right, well, Command Center should be finishing up here soon. The Reaper stayed at home. So this doesn't get to scout, and that's what the SCV was doing, to see if there was a hatchery, to see if there's a one base, like all in or something. But the Reaper stays at home, and instead of scouting, we'll be able to deflect lings from canceling the command center. Well, you never really cancel the command center. You more like delay it and be super annoying by killing the SCV. I want Serral to have some kind of crazy tactic up his sleeve for this one, though. I really want to see him go like full Super Saiyan. Insane macro, impossible to beat. Yeah, whether you're a Serral fan, whether you're a Cure fan, and by the way, can we just side note, even if Cure loses this, can we just give him an exceptional shout out? Because in every series I've been watching Cure play over the last month, even the games he loses, they've been exceptional. And I feel spoiled watching such good Starcraft. But in all seriousness, though, the reminder that this is still the winner's bracket, so the loser still has a chance to fight back through the lower bracket. At this moment in time, I believe as well, the loser of this series faces Special. And if that's the case, that's going to be incredibly interesting, since I know for a fact Cure has some of the best TvT in the world. No, excuse me, it's not. Special is playing against Denver, but it's still TvT because the loser would face Euthermal. My mistake. I was looking at the wrong half of the bracket. So it could be Cure versus Euthermal. Hell, maybe Cure takes this back and it's Serral versus Euthermal. Either way, like the follow-up game to this game is actually going to be awesome. Lings dart around to the south. There's not really a lot of opportunity for them to slip by and do anything here. Meanwhile, as these Reapers and Hellions get in, it's kind of the same problem for them. There's just not a lot for either player to grab right now. But what is noteworthy are the Roaches starting to march, and this scout sees that. Now, it's not battlecruisers, it's Banshee. Banshee at home holds this attack. Marauders help a lot, and a bunker would be best. Oh, the Hellions shave off some of the Zerglings as they run over too. Okay. But the Banshee would just love to go across the field. Cure really needs this to hammer away at the Roaches. He right now doesn't have the DPS with the Hellions to stop this attack. Even if he were to pull all the SCVs into this, he would lose so much by the time he was able to clean anything up. So high ground's going to be part of the defense. Ravagers are being made out of the weakened Roaches, so full health now. That's kind of annoying to have to deal with. This will break the wall. The Marauder's almost out to help. He's got one already. This gets focused down so quickly, though. SCVs are pulling into the fray to make sure this doesn't end up a game ending, but I mean, SCVs also pull into what is possibly corrosive bombs, so it's a little scary. Now walks through these units and goes to the mineral patch. So this holds with 2 worker deaths, but quite a few army units dying with it. Rather than stay at home scared licking his wounds, Cure decides to move across the field, and with 2 Banshees, he has a lot of potential for damage, but we should note these are not just 2 Banshees, these are 2 Banshees with Cloak. Right now, I don't think there's a single Spore Crawler on the field. He's just starting them up. Layers on the way, so Overseers will come out eventually, but check this. Banshees just kill the Queens, and then Hellions can kill everything else that's left, right? Or at least hypothetically. This is actually some really bad angle of attacks. Hellions have very precise ways they can attack units, and the way that started was not that. GG. Hold on. That's still too much. Guys, Cure ties up the series 2-2, and we're not done yet. This is gonna go all the way. And I believe, what was the other score? Elazer versus Special was also a 3-2. So these qualifier matches, if nothing else, just prove that these players are the best of the best, and they are going the distance for these games. Oh my god. StarCraft 2 is at its peak! I'm loving it. All right, so Nightshade, final map destination. No more games after this one. As we hop into the game. Sorry, I just had to wait for the channels to go away. Oh, I didn't do it. Great. So I probably... If anyone screenshotted that, please don't go harass the channel. Okay, it's just the headache. And the tournament's already almost over. Don't be that guy. I really wish I had seen game 1 now, too. It feels like a bummer to have missed out on that one. But, folks, it's the final showdown. With the score being 2-2, there are no more chances in this particular series. So ace match, match point, whatever you want to call it, to the bottom right, it'll be the last time we see the blue Zerg, Serral. And his opponent to the upper left, the red Terran, the red Terran, Cure. Okay. I don't know how to measure this. And I don't know how to guess who comes out ahead. I really didn't think the counterattack from Cure would be game ending. I thought it would be a lot of damage. I thought, okay, maybe some workers die and Star's a little behind. He'll clean it up, surely. But the Spore Crawlers were too late, the Queens were too spread out, and Cure did a very good job of taking advantage of that. But, oh, I'm really jaded, because like I said before, on one side of it, will Serral make these mistakes and present the opportunities to Cure to even take advantage in the first place? And I think it really is fair for us to be measuring it in this way. Not like, well, Rifkin, you could also argue, isn't Cure good enough to take advantage of Serral? But the thing is, Cure didn't win BlizzCon. Cure isn't known for being the best player in all of Europe. So there really is a lot of like weight on Serral's shoulders, because he is and has such a reputation to him. But that being said, that's just kind of romantic artist BS we get to talk about on the cast. I know for a fact that when it comes down to the games, no player considers this kind of egotistical title or monument. Nobody puts Serral up on a pedestal. They just think, oh, this is a really tough Zerg player, period. The end. Not like, oh my god, he won BlizzCon. How could I possibly overcome him? Like, this isn't some kind of Yu-Gi-Oh anime playing your trap card. No, they're just in the game. They're in the zones. And I've talked about this before with interviews with players too. A lot of the time, they don't even really keep track of the score for like their best of 3s or best of 5s and stuff. They're just there to play the game, the end. So as long as they can keep that clean slate mindset coming here to game 5, doesn't matter that it's 5 versus 1 versus 3. They're still playing, and the winner moves through, and that's all that matters. So Serral's gonna have an okay time deflecting this. He really doesn't want to lose Zerglings to this. Zerglings are more or less an extension of the Queen's health. If all the Zerglings die, then a Reaper can actually take on a Queen, as his regen's kind of gross. It's stupid and ridiculous. But he dives and he really wants to kill that creep tumor. But unless you get the first shot on that creep tumor, like as soon as it goes down, it is very difficult to kill this before it finishes forming. So unfortunately, Cure will not get that advantage of sniping that off. And Serral's going to be pretty pleased with himself, frankly. This is a very important creep tumor to get down. Because you don't want to be spending your next set of energy on a bunch of creep tumors. You want to be spending your energy on injects and larva. And hell, in a pinch, transfuses. Is this the last time we see him? Is this a death match? Okay, it's the last time we see these players in this series. Like I mentioned, the winner will move on, fully fledged qualified to IEM Katowice to play and compete on one of the biggest stages for 2020. The loser will have to face off against Euthermal just to have a chance to survive. But it is worth mentioning that the bottom side of the bracket has the qualification matches very soon. In fact, for one of these players, it would be play Euthermal, and then the winner of that plays another qualification set. I believe? I think it's top 3 and not top 4. Regardless, you can always check out the brackets yourselves. Anytime we're live on a broadcast, ! brackets in the chat will link to whatever we're covering. And you guys can go read the finer details. Because I don't read. I don't have time for that. I'm some big important Twitch streamer after all. Although, not today. Wardy's freaking killing it today, but that comes, of course, that's the perk of being the mainstream for these matches. You get to pick everything you like, and of course, I do envy that he's gotten some of the games that I wish I could have got today, but it's also fine because we've had a lot of fun over here too. It's not like we got bad games. In fact, I'm actually pretty pleased with every game we've covered so far. Even Vanya's series at the start of the day was really very fun. I don't think anyone expected the that early loss, like to have Serral lose the game against Vanya in the first best of 3 of the day. But obviously we see where that led to, and Serral's here and Vanya's not. So rest in peace, Vanya. See you next time. Cloaked Banshees for Cure. I don't think this will be as advantageous. We're going to have Spore Crawlers down and the layer's already finished up. So Overseers will be out in a pinch. Banshees can still do a lot of damage, but I think what we're seeing a lot of Terran players kind of gravitate to now is the Banshee's not worth sacrificing for 5 drones as it has been like historically. It's way better at being that unit that can safely clean up creep while your Marines pressure a 3rd base or something. I mean, the worst part about clearing up creep is you have to physically be there to do it. And if you do it with Marines, you're going to get caught by Lings and Banelings and Changelings. All right. See if they catch them. To play like, well, I can't play the music because it's an IEM broadcast, but we play like the Metal Gear music in the background. Oh, that hurts. That's a fresh mule. I mean, mules are going to mine like an average of like 250 minerals over their duration. So it's not like you lose anything technically. You lose the energy and the time. But you also just don't get to gain that money. You don't get that small speed boost to your economy. So that stings a little bit for Cure. And it's a really nice pickup for Serral. He's very happy about that for sure. Meanwhile, though, it is the fact that 3 bases have been established. Serral now taking his 4th. We got Banelings loading up into an Overlord here on the corner. We've seen this work once already. We'll probably see it work again. Oh, I love this. Twitch chat is correcting me. No, Rifkin, you're wrong. It is a deathmatch. The loser's PC will explode, and the loser will also be sent to the Shadow Realm. Excuse me, banned to the Shadow Realm. Okay, that is some high stakes Starcraft 2. Hydras, okay. I'm thinking more lurkers later, but Hydras and Banelings and Lings are pretty good composition. Is Overlord speed done? He does have Overlord speed. Okay, so he's just buying his time a little bit here, waiting until maybe Cure's distracted, because once Cure starts attacking him, you know, Cure's gonna be looking at the units microing around, or if it's caught in the middle of the map. I believe the Overlord's just been queued into the natural base, so picks up at the medevacs. Cure does look home just in the nick of time, and Serral backs away. I think, by the way, if I was a pro player, I'm not, obviously. Oh, that sucks. It loses everything in that. I would put an empty Overlord there, and I would just constantly try and bait SCV pulls, right? Like, you make the transformation Overlord, but don't commit anything to it other than just trying to mind game your opponent. And then, by like the 3rd or 4th time they become complacent to it, that's when you actually send the Banelings in. 200 IQ strats. But don't listen to me. I'm not a good player. Serral is. Watch what Serral does. Take notes from Serral, not from me. I'm a fun player is what I am. I like cooking up ideas to mess with people. Like, if I was able to execute that in a game where I actually faked them out and then hit them with real Banelings, I wouldn't care if I won or lost the game. That to me is a personal win. It's like made you look. Made you look, punch. Get 2 for flinching now, coward. All right, so Hydra's added into this, but we should note that Hydras don't actually have upgrades really associated with them in this game. Not in terms of Groove Spine and Muscular Augments. He's going to get both of those. In fact, Muscular Augments is completing as I speak. But it's more that we're not seeing +1 or +2 weapons, which means the emphasis of this game will still likely move towards Hive Tech and gravitate towards Broodlords or Ultras later, with this mid-game being just a power play through Hydras. But there's a swerve now that there wasn't for the last 2 months, and that's Lurker Den, and Lurkers are really powerful. Especially, and like double so once they get that +2 range from Hive Tech. But that's quite some time away, so we'll leave that out for the conversation for now. Ling's running around the map. We're going to find a supply depot, but that's also going to be an early warning. Cure now has to pick and choose how much he wants to send across the map because he doesn't know how much is here attacking him. And it's actually quite a bit of units. Okay, so it takes the 1 tank blast and backs away. Heartbroken, or Heartbroke says, what a series. I could not agree more, man. Cure pushing up. It's got Hellbats on the front line, which are funny to see, but these are just like leftover Hellions. They can soak quite a bit of damage, and they'll help fry up some of those Lings, but at the end of the day, tanks still one-shot a lot of what's on this ground army. Well, not the Hydras. Very close to it, too, on the Hydras, even. He's been really scared to rally everything forward because I think he's very aware that Serral is waiting to go for another attack, whether it's dropping banelings or running zerglings by. Getting very bold pushing off the creep like this. Uh-oh. Lings and banelings looking to come in from behind. Here we go. It's a sandwich move. 3 different angles. Hydras from the south. Lings and banelings from the north. Tanks go down quick enough, so there's nothing focus firing down the banelings, but as the banelings run deep, they also run out. A new wave of Marines reinforced, but he target fires down the banelings. And Cure pushes back. He loses the tanks, but 66 more lings are on the way from Serral. And he needs these zerglings ASAP. I don't even know if he's going to have time to make these new banelings, but he just needs units to fight with. Otherwise, Cure will push in and kill a hatchery. And granted, Serral has quite a few hatcheries. He can afford to lose one. Not the end of the world if he does. But he doesn't want to lose any. Trader says, oh my god, I hate you so much. What, you don't like my sick mind game plays? I would be like the worst player to play against, honestly. Alright, as the Lynx continue to dart around, they do pick off some important units, and these big pickoffs are starting to add up for Cure. At the moment, he's only got 3 tanks. 61 Marines is really impressive, but he's only got 3 tanks to work with, so there's no easy way to just shoot down the banelings or focus fire this stuff down. Here's also taking a long time to expand to another base. The command center is finishing as we speak, but kind of understandably so. A lot of this game has been about the army and pushing forward. But it's worth noting too, not a lot of workers have died this game. No one's income has really been disrupted. So it's just been these cosmetic army fights that aren't really accomplishing anything other than just killing units. Okay, here we go. Senseless battle number 4. Tanks are not that plentiful, and there's a lot of green explosions, and a lot of the Marines get wiped senseless. The Hydralists pick up the medevacs, and that's going to be the last battle. GG. Serral advances 3-2.